Welcome to Mastering Mystical Mysteries, where AI meets the ancient wisdom of esoteric literature. In each episode, we explore spiritual and occult books, revealing hidden truths through advanced AI analysis. Whether you are a seasoned seeker or simply curious about the mystical, we uncover knowledge from across the world's traditions. Today, we are diving into another thought-provoking text filled with spiritual insight and occult wisdom. If you enjoy our journey into the unknown, please remember to subscribe, comment, and like to stay connected with future revelations. Let us begin.
Have you ever, I don't know, tried to explain something, and you know you mean, but the words just aren't good enough?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just too big for words.
Totally.
Well, that's kind of what we're dealing with today, haha. This whole idea of talking about God, like the divine, the source of everything,
Right.
using our very, very limited human language.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It really is. I mean,
Right.
it's something mystics have been wrestling with for centuries, really.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so for this deep dive, we're looking at this amazing sermon. It's kind of tucked away in this file. It's literally called 22.pdf.
Huh.
That's it.
Okay, so we don't know who wrote it or...
Nope. No name, no
Yeah.
nothing. But the words are incredible. They really make you think. Basically, this mystic wants us to think about detaching from, everything, all the everyday stuff,
Okay.
to reconnect with, something way bigger.
That's interesting, this idea of detachment. It's important, but it's not about, actually running away to live in a cave or something.
No, definitely not.
It's more about, I think, how we see things, how we think about the world.
So more like a mental decluttering.
Mm-hmm.
Because, let's face it, we are bombarded with, information, desires, all of it, all the time.
Exactly.
Maybe we're just too distracted to see what really matters. Would you say that's what the sermon means by detachment?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. There's this phrase that really stood out to me. It talks about being, get this, informed back into God.
Informed.
Yeah. Sounds kind of out there, right? But think about it. It's like we're stripping away everything that's not essential. And what's left is, our true selves. Almost like returning to some original state of, I don't know, goodness maybe.
I can see that.
You familiar with Plato's forms at all?
Vaguely, yeah.
So it's like there's this perfect, true essence of ourselves, and it's through detachment that we can actually get back to it. Remember who we really are.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get where this is going. But then it gets even more interesting, because this mystic also talks about this great nobility within us. Like, the soul has this inherent greatness. What exactly does that even mean?
So this great nobility that the mystic is talking about, it's like it all comes back to us being made in God's image.
Okay.
But it's not just about looking like God, right?
Right.
It's about having this capacity for reason, for love, for creativity, all these incredible things. They all stem from this, I don't know, divine spark inside us.
So it's not about earning our worth. It's more like remembering that we were always worthy from the very beginning.
Precisely. We already have this potential for greatness, but it's so easy to forget in the midst of everyday life.
It really is.
This mystic is saying, hey, wake up, you're capable of amazing things, remember who you truly are.
That's actually really beautiful. And it makes me think about those moments, where you feel completely alive, like connected to something so much bigger than yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe through art or nature or even just a really deep conversation. Like, have you ever just felt that kind of connection?
Yeah.
Where you're like, wow, there's something profound happening right now.
All the time. I think those moments, those aha moments, they often come when we least expect them.
They really do.
Maybe those feelings of awe or wonder, that's us getting a glimpse of this great nobility that the mystic is talking about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like we catch a reflection of our true selves, and it's breathtaking.
And maybe that's what this whole detachment thing leads to, right?
Yeah.
We let go of all the noise, all the distractions, and suddenly there's space for these experiences to happen.
Yeah.
More often even.
I love that. It's like we're clearing out the attic, and we find this treasure chest full of
Yeah.
greatness.
Exactly. And speaking of mind-blowing concepts, this sermon has this one metaphor. I don't know if you remember it. It describes God as both a spoken and unspoken word.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That one really got me thinking.
Right. It's like a riddle. How can something be spoken and unspoken at the same time? It just doesn't make sense.
It's a paradox, totally. But it gets at something so fundamental about how we as humans relate to the divine.
Okay. I'm listening.
Think about it like this. God the Father, that's like the speaking word, the creative force that, speaks the entire universe into being.
Whoa.
Right. It's pure potential, pure possibility.
So God the Father is like the ultimate writer coming up this amazing story of existence. But then what about the unspoken word? Where does that fit in?
Well, that's where God the Son comes in, right?
Okay.
The mystic describes him as the speech at work. It's like God the Father has the idea, the word, and then God the Son is that word taking shape, becoming real, alive. It's through the Son that the unspoken becomes, well, spoken.
So God the Father is like the blueprint, and then God the Son is like the actual building, that creative energy actually becoming something real in the world.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. And it makes me think about how the mystic says that all of creation, like everything, speaks God, even something like a rock.
That's the part I always stumble on. How can a rock speak? It just seems so, I don't know, literal.
Right. And remember how the mystic talked about God the Son as speech at work? It's like they're saying creation itself, like the trees, the stars, even a simple rock, is that speech actually taking form.
Okay.
Like each thing in its own way is reflecting that original creative act.
So it's less about the rock, like talking out loud, and more about, I don't know, recognizing something divine maybe in everything around it.
Yes, exactly. It's like the whole universe is this amazing symphony, and each element is playing its own unique part.
I like that.
You might not understand every single note in a symphony, right?
Right.
But you can still experience the beauty of it, the complexity.
Totally. And that reminds me of that idea of the book of nature, like finding God's presence reflected in the world around us.
Exactly. It's about opening ourselves up to a different way of seeing, a different way of experiencing the world, where even the things we might think are ordinary, well, they can actually reveal something much deeper.
Yeah, I feel that. But hold on, because this mystic also warns against trying to put God in a box, right? Like there's that part where they're talking about this person trying to give God all these different names, and it's like, dude, you're missing the point.
Ha ha. There's a real humility in that message. It really struck me. Like the mystic is acknowledging that no matter how eloquent we are, no matter how many words we use, human language is always going to fall short when we try to describe the infinite.
It's true.
It's like trying to capture the entire ocean in a teacup,
Yeah, I get that. But then they talk about these like approved names for God, right? So doesn't that seem kind of, I don't know, contradictory?
I don't think it's a contradiction so much as a recognition that we do need language as a starting point, right?
Right.
Like these approved names, as the mystic calls them, they're the ones that have been used by people who have had these direct experiences with the divine.
Oh, I see.
So they're kind of like signposts, pointing us towards something that's ultimately beyond our full comprehension.
So it's okay to use those names, those words, as long as we remember they're just like a starting point, not the actual destination.
Exactly. It's about approaching these conversations and really any spiritual practice with this sense of awe, sense of wonder.
I like that.
And recognizing that we don't have all the answers.
Humility.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And that leads us to this really interesting part of the sermon. It's like it shifts gears, from this huge cosmic view of God to something much more personal, more intimate even.
You're talking about the part where God touches the prophet's mouth, right?
Yes.
And then there's that phrase, the kiss of the soul. I mean, come on, you don't hear that every day.
No, you don't. It's such a powerful image, though, and it's really important to understand what it means in this context.
Okay, so what does it mean?
So in a lot of mystical traditions, a kiss, it often symbolizes this idea of union, like a merging of two into one.
So we're not talking about a romantic kiss here.
No, not at all. This is about that deep, profound connection between the soul and the divine.
Wow, okay.
Like a moment of complete unity. And you know what makes it even more interesting? It comes right after God says, "Behold, I have today chosen you and have set you over nations and kingdoms."
So this choosing isn't about, like, worldly power, is it?
No, exactly. It's not about authority or ruling over other people. It's about something much bigger than that.
So what is it about then?
It's about understanding that true fulfillment, true happiness, it doesn't come from external achievements, It comes from that inner alignment with the divine.
It's about being chosen for this incredibly deep personal connection, this kiss of the soul.
Yes, exactly. And maybe that's what this whole idea of detachment is really all about,
What do I mean?
It's by letting go of our attachment to the material world, to our egos, to all of that, that we actually create the space for that deeper connection to happen, to really flourish.
I never thought about it like that.
It's about recognizing that the true kingdom we're meant to inherit is not of this world. It's something much greater.
You're referring to that part where the mystic talks about God's today, right? It's like there's today, like, what date is it? It's Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, as we record this.
Right.
And then there's this other today, this like eternal today that the mystic's talking about.
Right. It's like stepping outside of time completely.
Exactly. It's like time doesn't even exist in that space.
And the mystic actually says, let me see if I can find the exact quote. In a today, God promises to choose us where nothing is, where yet in eternity there is a today.
Wow.
It's a lot to unpack, right? But I think it suggests that God's presence, that divine kiss of the soul, it exists in a realm beyond our linear understanding of time.
So it's not something we have to wait for or earn by being good. It's already here.
It seems like that's what this mystic is getting at, yeah. It's a totally different way of thinking about it. We usually see God's promises as something bound by time, but here it's like they're saying it transcends time completely.
It makes me think about how often we put off our own happiness, like once I get that promotion or when I finally have this or that, then I'll be happy. But what if we're missing the point?
What if it's already here?
Yeah. What if the key to experiencing that deep connection, that great nobility inside all of us, what if it's about tapping into this eternal today, this always present moment?
That is a very interesting question. And I think by shifting our focus away from all the stuff that's not the present moment,
Like regrets about the past, worries about the future, all of that.
Yeah, all of that. And we just focus on right here, right now. Maybe we can actually open ourselves up to something way more profound.
It's like that quote, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift.
I love that one.
That's why it's called the present. Maybe this mystic is trying to tell us to like unwrap the gift.
Yeah.
To actually be present in this eternal today.
And in doing so, we start to realize we're not just along for the ride, We're not just passive.
We actually get to participate.
Yes. We are active participants in this incredible dance of creation. It's like this divine symphony that's echoing through everything.
So, wow. We've talked about so much. Detaching from the material world, embracing the great nobility within us, this whole idea of God as both spoken and unspoken. And then trying to find the language to even talk about the divine in the first place.
Yeah, I told you, it's a challenge.
It really is. So if there's one thing you could leave our listeners with, one thing to really take away from this amazing sermon, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. But if I had to pick just one, it would be this. Don't ever be afraid to ask the big questions.
Yes.
Embrace the mystery of it all, The journey of faith, it's not about having every single answer. It's about learning to listen.
Listen for what?
Listen for those whispers of the divine. And you never know where they might pop up. It could be in the most unexpected places.
I like that.
Maybe even, just maybe, in the silence of your own heart.
Beautifully said. And to everyone listening, if this deep dive sparks something in you, I highly encourage you to check out some other mystical writings. You might be amazed by what you find. But for now, we'll leave you with this thought. What if the divine spark you're looking for, that connection, is already burning bright inside you? Just waiting for you to notice it right here, right now, in this eternal today.